27-year-old techie killed in Noida. Negligence drowned Yuvraj in a death trap. Fought for life but got no help in time. Trapped through 90 minutes of horror. A young man falls prey to urban apathy. A life lost. Who is accountable? Noida Techie's death. That is our top focus on 5 Live.
That is indeed our top focus here on 5 Live. Now, this could have been you and me. Anybody who lives around in Delhi NCR, or perhaps more so in Noida, Greater Noida, etc. We could be driving back home in the thick of the night, in the thick of the fog as well. But expecting to land in a ditch and losing your life, well, that's what happened with Yuvraj. Let's tell you in detail. It was a winter night in Greater Noida. There was dense fog, near zero visibility, an empty stretch of road in sector 150. A 27-year-old software professional was driving back home. What he could not see was a deep construction pit filled with water dug right next to the road, and no barricades, no reflectors, no warning lights. Nothing to suggest that the road ahead could turn fatal in seconds. His car then plunged straight in. He managed to get out of the vehicle. That part matters, remember, because this was not instant death. He called his family. He cried for help. He used his phone torch to signal anyone who might be passing by. For nearly 90 minutes, he waited in that water, clinging on to dear life. But help did not come in time. When rescue teams finally pulled him out, it was too late. The post-mortem later would confirm drowning, followed by a cardiac arrest. His father said this.
आने के बाद भी वो लोग मतलब मीनिंगफुल नहीं थे, उनके पास लिमिटेड रिसोर्सेज था और केवल रस्सी से ही वो लोग फेंक रहे थे और वहां रस्सी जा नहीं पा रही थी। फिर उनको अल्टरनेट ऑप्शन अडॉप्ट करना चाहिए था कि बोट का लेते यूज करते या कोई स्विमर या डाइवर होता वो जाकर मेरे बेटे के पास पहुंच जाते तो उसकी जान बच सकती थी। 6 बजे उनका बोट जो है प्रिपेयर हुआ रिकवरी के लिए, 6 बजे मॉर्निंग।
क्या तर्क दे रहे थे, क्यों अंदर नहीं गए वो देखने के लिए युवराज को?
बोले कि इसमें बहुत गहरा है, जगह जगह सरिया है, वो उसमें हम नहीं जा सकते, वहां पर डैमेज हो सकता है।
All right, so you heard that man over there. What is he saying? That around midnight is when he got the call, and finally his body, Yuvraj's body, was pulled out at 4 in the morning. In fact, much later, 6 o'clock is when they made the boat at least, so the body came out much later. We're expecting that till about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, he was actually alive. But this is the peculiar story. It raises so many questions. Yuvraj could have been you and me returning from home, but the shocking part here is that it's not just a story of crumbling infrastructure, but the fact that none of the emergency services which did land there to help him were equipped to help. Not the police, not the fire department, not even the NDRF.
1 घंटा 45 मिनट तक लड़के ने खूब अपने बचाने की गुहार लगाई है कि भाई मुझे बचा लो, किसी भी तरीके से बचा लो। मौके पे पुलिस भी थी एंड एसडीआरएफ भी थी और अग्नि विभाग वाले भी थे, फायर ब्रिगेड वाले भी थे। किसी ने उसकी मदद नहीं करी। बोल रहे थे ठंडा पानी है, हम नहीं जाएंगे अंदर, इसमें सरिया है, अंदर हम नहीं जाएंगे। ठीक है जी। इस मौत का जिम्मेदार सच्चाई बताए तो सरकारी महकमा है। ठीक है जी। जब मैं आया हूँ 1:45 पे यहाँ आया हूँ, मैंने आके देखा है तो एसडीआरएफ वाले सिड्डी पे बैठ के बोल रहे थे कि इसमें ठंडा पानी है सरिया, हम अंदर नहीं जाएंगे। जो लड़का मुझसे 10 मिनट पहले ही डूबा था, मैं बोला तुम बाहर आओ, मैं जाऊंगा अंदर। वो बाहर आए, मैंने अपने कपड़े उतारे, मैंने कमर पे अपने पर रस्सा बांधा और कम से कम 50 मीटर अंदर गया मैं, और कम से कम 30 मिनट मैंने वो लड़का ढूंढा अंदर इस पानी में, रात 1:45 बजे। 30 मिनट तक मैंने वो लड़का ढूंढा, ना तो मुझे गाड़ी मिली नहीं मुझे लड़का मिला। फिर ढूंढने के बाद मैं आ गया, और आपने उसके बाद 5:30 बजे मैं यहाँ से गया हूँ। 5:30 बजे तक ना ही तो लड़का निकला था, ना ही गाड़ी निकली थी।
So who was that man you heard called an eyewitness there? Well, he is a civilian. He's a delivery boy who actually did jump in and tried to help. It was too late perhaps by then, but he jumped in where others and emergency services who are trained to handle these situations simply did not. So who allowed this to happen really? This was not an accident, it was a negligence basically playing out in real time. The agency responsible here, well, let's call them out, it's the Noida Authority. From 25 to 26, it has cleared a budget of 8,732 crore just in this Noida city. Last year alone, 2,229 crore was allocated for maintenance and 2,400 crore for development, besides hundreds of crores for land acquisition, rural development, office expenses, all of that. And yet, public roads had an open water-filled pit with no barricades, no lights, no warnings at all. The authority has also admitted it failed to spend a large amount of money last year from its budget as per norms, carrying it forward into the next year. They did not spend the money only. They had the kitty, did not spend it, which makes the question pretty unavoidable with thousands of crores in books. Why was basic safety missing? Who approved the site without safeguards? Who ignored resident warnings? And why did rescue fail when a man was alive and calling out for help? Cutting down a junior engineer is not accountability, which has happened in this case. They have suspended a junior engineer in this case. God knows how is that going to help or change anything. This is what happens when money moves faster than responsibility. Budgets make promises, roads expose failure. And in Noida, the cost of that failure is life of this young man. Joining us for more on this is somebody who is also very familiar with this story. RJ Guinea has been talking about it on her show all day long. Joins us now. Also with me, Sudhir Krishna, former Secretary, Urban Development, Government of India, joining us as well. Sudhir, I just want to start by asking you, there are lots of questions here. The fact that that entire wall preventing fall from the pit had been broken just a couple of weeks ago, because the residents there say that there was a bus which managed to ramp in, and that is why the outlet was open. That bridge was open, which is why his car went in. They're suspecting that's how it has happened. Nobody really knows because, of course, we don't have CCTV cameras to, look at things at all. Then there is the question of the father actually reaching there in 40 minutes, calling everybody possible, but nobody being equipped. So I don't even know where to begin when it comes to fixing accountability in this case.
Well, I think, Sonalji, first, thank you very much for inviting me, because it's a very important situation for the whole country. And I think we are not learning lessons, but at least today we should decide to learn the lesson. The first thing about accountability you mentioned, without doubt, the accountability will lie on the Chief Executive Officer of the Noida. There is no point in suspending the junior engineer and so on, straight away. And straight away, the very first thing is, when something of this kind happens, it shows, because this is the only one spot. There may be many other spots in Noida,
Waiting for
one or
tragedies
the
to
other
happen.
kind of danger lying there. And you see, there is no dearth of resources. You have yourself said that Noida Authority, a lot of fund they are not spending. And actually speaking, putting the stickers, putting the reflecting tape, it will cost few thousand rupees only if they want to put for the whole of the Noida. It may cost maybe 1 lakh or 2 lakh of rupees for the whole of Noida. It's because sticker tapes, reflecting tapes are there. So money is not the issue. The issue is that we are not concerned apparently, and by losing interest about the citizen in general. The glitter of putting new projects, constructing new things, sanctioning new things, laying foundation stones, going to media with Twitter and Facebook messages is so much that the fundamental human value is being lost. So I would recommend straight away that the Noida authority, chief executive officer, should be placed under suspension. Number one. And number two, all cities in the country, because the problem is rural area no less. And we don't discuss much about rural areas. They are also suffering a lot like this situation. But let us talk about cities for the while. That all cities should be asked, the chief executive officer, municipal commissioners or development authority, whoever is the head, should be asked to give a certificate that all reflectors are in position. All, you see, the danger points have been identified because there are manuals. The Indian Road Congress has got code manuals on one hand for signages, on other hand for the safety audit of roads.
I get that. There is the entire issue of roads, and you're absolutely right, Mr. Krishna, that this is just one of the many that have perhaps been, put under question because of this. But let me bring in Guinea on this one. Guinea, what's really shocking me about this entire incident is perhaps not the apathy or perhaps the lack of work done by Noida authority, which is just sitting on a pile of cash and not doing anything, but on the absolute unpreparedness of even, situations like SDRF, even the fire department, even the police. They had 5 to 6 hours to rescue him and they could not.
They said in the morning I spoke to this guy Muninder who was the only brave person, and he said that there were almost 70 people out there from various authorities, which included the fire department, the police, the national disaster authorities, and none of them had even basic lights that could sheer through the fog. I cannot make sense of this at all. They could not see where that boy was. They could just see his camera light flashing a little bit. They could hear his voice. They did not have basic light. So first that. Second, how are teams which are equipped for this telling us that this is a pit which has Saria and therefore we are not willing to risk our life? A common man saying that I get it, but teams that are supposed to do this cannot say this. Again, I was talking to Muninder in the morning and he said that out of the police that was there, a majority of them didn't know how to swim. So then how were they going to help? They would not be able to help. I mean, it raises questions at so many levels. It's just not funny. But the saddest point is there's this boy who's drowning. There's his father.
Right, we'll just go to Guinea in just a minute. But Mr. Krishna, you heard that, right? The authority is just not being prepared to help. I mean, it's just appalling. If I am in an emergency situation, A, I get caught up because the authorities were not doing their job. That's why I'm in that pit. B, once I'm there, my family manages to find me. They manage to call everybody possible, from police to fire department to even the, the disaster management team, and none of them know what to do. That's just crazy.
Absolutely. So therefore, the lesson is, you see, the thing is, as I was telling earlier, that this is happening in one place. The person who lost his life, at least that cannot come back, but at least country should benefit, get some benefit. Other lives should be saved. So therefore, one certificate should be taken from all municipal commissioners that their roads are safe, number one. Number two, here the SDRF, they should hang their head in shame. Because if they cannot save one person with 50 people around, 50 of their staff around, and they do not have the torch which can see through the fog, if they do not have the swimmers, if they do not have the wherewithal, then what is the disaster relief force for? So I think a lot of drama is going on in the name of all these things. Straight away, the head of the STRF should also be taken to task. And because then only people will wake. Because if you suspend junior engineer or a police constable and so on, nothing will happen, because that man is he is not responsible for many things. So therefore, I think it is high time that exemplary action is taken, which will alert the system. Otherwise,
so Mr. Krishna is clearly not mincing his words. He's saying all those responsible, starting with the CEO of Noida Authority to SDRF to police and to fire department, they must all answer what happened. Like we were talking about, eyewitnesses there have said there were some 70 to 80 people there on the spot, and it took one delivery boy to jump and say that, no, it doesn't matter, I'll go and save the guy. And by the time it was too late. Guinea?
That is true. That is true. That's the delivery boy is the real hero out here, definitely. But it's such a sad state of affairs. I also want to know if this was a politician, would they have had the same amount of reluctance to jump in? Because it's a common man, and a common
Yeah.
man's life does not matter in India. It does not. Do you know this pit is the basement of a mall which was dug for so many years? Today, I had people from Noida, Sector 150, saying we've been staying in that sector. We didn't know that this was the basement of a mall. We thought it was a pond where ducks come. This is a pond which has saria, which has all of those things lying under it. Nobody's checked. Sector 150 in Noida is one of the poshest sectors where the biggest builders are right now selling flats at crores of rupees. Why is it that Noida authority is not looking at these basics? How could a pit be uncovered for such a long time? This is a case where a truck fell in the same pit 4 days ago. And yet, and for that father, so we discuss so many news items, we do so many things. For that father to know that he stood there for 5 hours hearing his son scream,
Oh gosh,
"Save
yes.
me," with every single authority that he could have called, and yet not be able to save his son. I mean, the authorities need to answer to this man. Why? It's a whole life lost for nothing. It's the most saddest case that I've seen. And people are now going and protesting on site, etc. But the builders there are not taking questions, they're not answering. So many
But
projects
Ginny,
are on
why
in
the
Noida.
builders will always have commercial interests in mind, right?
No,
Noida Authority has
this
to
was an
Noida
absolutely,
Authority
absolutely.
has to answer why are they allowing it to happen. So apparently the builder, we did some digging out and we figured out that the builder had to pay some money. There were some sanctions which are pending, which is why construction was stopped on that site, right? Now, even if
Exactly,
you
which is why
stop
Pani had
construction,
come
you
in.
got to cover it. You got to figure out
That's
next step.
just
It's
my
been lying like
point.
that. Yeah.
That's just my point. How can you leave a pit in the middle of the city? This is not a village. This is not some sort of a. This is Sector 150 Noida, which is posh. How can you have an open drain where this man is saying 50 meter tak firemen ki seedhi nahi gayi? Do you realize the enormity of the largeness of that pit? And we've just. This is in the middle of the city. How is this being allowed? I don't know who all should lose their jobs. I don't know how many people will lose their jobs. I don't know if 3 days later all of us will remember this story. But the problem is that what you said at the beginning of the show is true. We all have to realize it could be any of us. And
Yeah.
any of us, Manju, this is just a man doing his job and coming back home.
Yeah. No, I get it. It
And
was a
you,
foggy night. I get it. I get it that it was,
no, not with
we
the
don't know.
national
Yeah.
disaster team
Yeah.
standing there. It's foggy for
Yeah.
you and me. We can't help. They can't turn around and say it was foggy, so our lights didn't work, our systems didn't work, we didn't have the requisite infrastructure. If they hadn't reached there, I would still give them some credit. To stand there
Yeah.
on the side and watch all of this happen, the fire, the disaster management, the police, come on.
Yeah, I don't know why, what is the point of paying taxes? I don't understand how, where is all that taxpayers' money going? Where is the
There is no
accountability? A
accountability in the
life's earning
system.
has gone into, building a house, building a home, owning a house, owning a flat in Noida, in, Sector 150, barely kilometers away from the national capital, barely kilometers away from where we are standing, by the way, which is why I said it could be
Absolutely.
any of us. It could be any of us traveling all the way down, and then not just to land there, to have nobody come out and help. Just absolute, absolute disaster. Noida Authority, you're right. The CEO has a lot of answering to do, along with what the fire department, police, and SDRF did as well. I have to thank you both for the moment for joining us, and we'll stay tuned on the story.